7 Listings Digital Marketing Challenge. The challenge officially starts when we end the training, the 5 days training, and we got some awesome prizes for first, second, and third place. Just to review those prizes quickly with everybody while we're getting on. Is first place is a free ticket to BSM. It's about $1,000 value. A huge Club Wealth event coming up in November. Second place is going to be a Yeti cooler or an iPad, and 1,000 geographical leads with cell phone numbers, emails, and addresses. And third place is going to be 1,000 geographical leads. And along with each winner is going to get this really cool plaque. And if you end up coming to the BSM event, you'll have an opportunity to walk across stage and get your plaque from Michael Hellickson and I. This is the plaque. It's going to look something like this. And so we're going to have a lot of fun in this challenge. We're going to accomplish goals and do things that we've either haven't done in a long time or never done before. That's the purpose of these challenges. And if you are a team leader, a broker, or you are an agent that has an inside sales agent on your team, they all qualify for this challenge, right? So if you have an inside sales agent that wants to go after to try to get 7 listings, and they can hop on here and they can participate. We want the whole team participating in this challenge, so that way we can rally the team, right? We can have something to get excited about, and there's nothing like a little bit of competition, right, to get us kind of back going and trying new things and accomplishing our goals. So this challenge is really digital, focused on video marketing, following up through what I would call digital prospecting. Okay. We're going to be talking today about a term. You're going to hear this term. You probably heard it before. Maybe you haven't, but we're going to use a term called digital door knocking today, and how to really move into the digital space when it comes to leveraging digital marketing and essentially being able to knock on a ton of doors at one time instead of physically having to go there by leveraging the digital space, by leveraging ads, leveraging your database, a lot of cool topics like that. So we're going to jump into that here in a minute. Before we do that, I just kind of want to do a quick recap of what we've covered so far this week. And the first day was really all about making sure we had a really strong roadmap. We had some action steps to get your list together, making sure that you have a really good daily action plan, a schedule that you're going to be following to methodically work through your A, B, and C list. Then we talked about making sure you had somebody to be accountable to, a daily huddle, somebody in this challenge that's willing to hop on Zoom with you while you're prospecting, right? And we talked about the different forms of outreach that we should be using. We should be using at least 5 forms of outreach, where we should be using text message, phone, email, Facebook Messenger. We should be using potentially direct-to voicemail if you have that service, like the different ways to outreach that's not just by phone, right? We should be using all of them. We talked about how the leads that you have, we should be making sure that we're using all forms of communication, and we touch them multiple times with at least 6 phone calls, not including the other forms of communication. We had a really great conversation about ways to leverage video text. We've talked about video marketing in general, how to improve our video marketing and the different ways we should be using video. And we ended off yesterday with people were going to be committed to doing something video with yesterday, doing something with video and taking action on that yesterday. So by show of chat, how many people actually followed through with their commitment to do something with video yesterday by show of chat? I'd like to see how many. Oh, I love it. Steve's dropping he's dropping links into his videos. That's awesome. Great, Steve. Great to see. Look at all these people that committed. I love it. That's freaking awesome, right? One step in the right direction. All right. Who agrees it wasn't that complicated? as maybe we thought it was by show of chat, right? That it was a little, maybe sometimes we overthink these things, right? When we go to do them, right? And then who got stuck in their own mind? And that's okay too, right? Who got stuck in the process and who found it frustrating? And that's totally cool, right? That happens to us as well, out of curiosity. That's what these challenges are for, to help us break through those frustrations, you know, the things that we're experiencing to stop us from hitting our goals. Right? So good. It was fun, but time consuming. Yeah. You know what? Here's my experience. I'll tell you my personal experience first getting into digital marketing. It was the exact same experience I had when I first started prospecting, right? I found it very frustrating. I found it very time consuming, and I questioned myself every step of the way, whether it was going to be worth the aggravation, the energy, and the time to do it consistently. Anyone relate to what I'm talking about there, right? Every new thing that we do to build and scale our business, we're going to experience that frustration, right? And if I'm just going to have real talk with everybody for a second, there's nothing that we can do to get around that, right? Anytime we learn something new, there's always going to be aggravations. There's always going to be frustrations. But here's the key to get over it all: making sure we remember why we're doing what we're doing to help push ourselves through it. Meaning, when I run into challenges, I go back to doing why I'm doing this. I go back to visualizing in my mind what the goal I'm trying to accomplish is. Keep that in front of my mind. Take a couple deep breaths. Maybe go punch a punching bag once in a while, right? Go get a workout, come back and go back at it, right? So that's really great. I'm glad you guys experienced some of those frustrations, because we need to be able to relate to that and know that it's going to happen and find a way to push ourselves through it. So Andy, is there anything you want to add to that conversation since you're hanging out with us?
No, I mean, there's a lot of really great content there and a lot of great info. Yeah, and with video, I mean, you just got to get up and do it. I mean, there's no way around it. And for me, I mean, most people are like, you know, I don't like the way my hair looks, or I don't like my voice. Well, as you can see, I don't have hair and I'm very nasally. But for me, and I know we'll get into this a little bit, but for those that don't know, I mean, I almost died. I had leukemia and I almost died. And I shot videos daily from my hospital bed as my hair was falling out. And
wow.
So if you want to get over video really quickly, do that.
That's a powerful story, man.
Come on now, man. I love that shiny head. I resemble that remark.
That is a powerful story.
Isaiah, I got one for you that came yesterday from a friend of mine, Video Marketing Tool. I got a birthday greeting yesterday from him on Facebook Messenger, and he's an agent up in Northern Virginia. And I just started doing that this morning and sent out about 10 video messages to people via Messenger. It's a great way to get an intro. And every one of them that responded back, I've asked them for a Google review, and every one of them said yes after sending them a birthday greeting.
That's awesome, Campbell. So that's another way. And we're going to go over a complete checklist tomorrow of all the ways we can use video. But that is another great example of touching base with your sphere of influence, right? The people that are connected to your page. And that's a perfect segue into today's training, actually, because our next guest speaker is going to be talking a little bit about that, using Facebook to really engage with your sphere. And Facebook Messenger is one of the most underutilized tools when it comes to working our spheres of influence, in my opinion, in our industry right now. And particularly, it's very easy to do video with it, right? Campbell, it didn't take too long to go to Facebook Messenger and shoot a quick video and say happy birthday and to touch base with people that are in your sphere connected to your page. Would you agree?
Isaiah, 30 seconds. All I do is go to the Facebook notifications, click their page, click Messenger, and just face it and go, hey, this is your Facebook friend, Campbell. Just want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope your family spoils you today. Have a great day. Bye. That's it.
Yeah, huge. Great personal touch.
And it lets you drip on them in the future because they know you care about them.
That's right. That's right. And especially if you're into Google reviews, you're really getting your reviews going. It's a great way to segue into a reach out for a review, right? And I love the creativity there. That's awesome. That's the thing. If you're going to do Google LSA the right way. You got to be thinking of as many ways you can get reviews as possible, right? And that's just another great way to do it. And Campbell, did you see my review come through for you yesterday?
Yes, I did, sir. You are the man. I appreciate it.
All right. Awesome.
Hey, Isaiah, just a quick FYI. I don't know what you changed, but your camera's gotten markedly worse this week versus last week. Very great.
Is it? Okay.
I don't know if it's dirty or what.
Maybe it's dirty, but I appreciate that. Maybe I just need a new freaking camera. That's good. That's good feedback. Thank you, though.
Thanks, sir.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and introduce our first guest speaker today. And so basically, I've had a chance to get to know this gentleman through some different events. We've had some great dialogue about what's happening in the digital space and bounce some ideas off of each other. And he has helped a ton of people in the Club Wealth community get hooked up on the services that he offers. And so I'd like to introduce you to somebody who's very advanced in the digital marketing space and helps hundreds of agents within his own community really tap into what he's going to talk about, digital door knocking, this concept of digital door knocking, and not only generating leads, but using Facebook to engage your database. So with that, without further ado, Marcus, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you great. And I'm just jealous. I'm just jealous of your cool pad, man. Like I got a boring screen in my background with a whiteboard I write on. You got all sorts of cool stuff happening in the background there. So.
I am nothing without my wife, man. She actually created this entire, it is a utility trailer, and she's got a background in journalism and broadcasting and television. So this was her little way of continuing that as we have 4 children.
Okay, so that's your space you go away to.
Well, it was supposed to be her podcast station, and then it became my workspace as we moved to another island, and here it is. Now it's my office, so I took it over.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, the show is yours, sir, wherever you want to take the conversation from here, and we'll be sitting taking notes in the background.
Awesome. Appreciate it. So I'm going to start with just a quick slide deck presentation, and then we'll get into some just very practical steps on how to digital door knock in this crazy social media driven world. But, just a little background of me. I've been with a company called StreetText for 6 years. We are kind of known in the space as the seller lead generation on Facebook. But really more than that, I've got to know Facebook as just this fantastic tool.
Andy?
As this,
Marcus, I am so sorry. I messed up on something. We actually have Andy here as well, Coach Andy with Club Wealth. And I believe Andy is going to kind of just bounce some ideas off with you. And Andy started off with a really cool story about video. But for those you don't know, Andy is a rock star coach with KW, and he's also going to be participating in this conversation. So Andy, I apologize for not introducing you earlier as well. So
no worries. That's all good.
All right. Thanks, Marcus. Go ahead. Yep.
Hey, and Andy, feel free to interject. I'm a very informal speaker. I don't need to have if you have something that you want to talk about or just stop me mid-track, do it, please. And anybody that for that matter too, if you want some more clarity. In the Zoom world, it's just easy to, right? If you have a question, just go ahead. So that being said, back to Facebook. Facebook is like the king of social media. There's a couple billion people there and continuing to grow. I think that the latest stats show more than an hour spent per day on social media. I think even more now in the COVID era, because we're stuck, right? We're stuck kind of isolated in our homes, and a lot of that stuff is being driven here. So I'm always saying, in a relationship-based business like real estate, and including myself, you want to be where they are, right? Everybody talks about CRMs, but what about the CRM of Facebook? Think about it. Facebook is a CRM, and a lot of people aren't utilizing it that way. So I'm gonna help, I think, take away something practical. Like, irregardless of whether you ever use StreetText or not, what I want to show you today is more practical to how you use Facebook to win relationships. And a lot of you don't realize that you have the people already there that are your digital door knocking, that are your geo farm. And you just think of it as because maybe you were raised, we're thinking it was just for your personal friends network, but it's actually so much more. So I'm going to go into that in just a little bit, but the elephant in the room is that we live in this world where everybody knows they're supposed to be on Facebook and Instagram or some sort of social media. Now it's like, well, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. I mean, how do you kind of figure out which one is like your best one? I would probably start with where the most people are. And, regardless of what your beliefs are, I mean, we all have our own personal beliefs in the spectrum of, Zuckerberg and controlling information and so forth. At the end of the day, people connect there on Facebook, and it's a news feed. But there's some really strong communication tools built within that I'm going to share with you today. So 2.74 billion monthly active users. Basically anybody with a, technology in this world has a Facebook account, really. And most of them are using it on their mobile device. So I always say, when you're thinking about your advertising, your marketing, or even your social direct influence, just remember most people are accessing it from their smartphone. So when I'm sharing information today, I'm going to be sharing it on a desktop. But a lot of people, when they see your information, when you're presenting your information, they're seeing it from a mobile perspective, especially through the advertising, which is kind of what I call interruption-based marketing. It's a top of funnel tool. We'll talk about that shortly, your top of funnel versus bottom of funnel, because you're not running ads on Facebook for people who are looking for you. Does that make sense? They're not looking for you when they're scrolling down their Facebook newsfeed. They're there for entertainment. They're there for pleasure. They're there probably because they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just, throughout the day, it's a boredom thing. You just go to your Facebook whenever you got a second just to see who's sent you a notification or a message, or, just to buy some time, unless you're actively there for, Facebook Marketplace or actually reaching out to somebody. But you're going to realize that 94% of ad revenue comes from mobile. So mobile is going to be the presentation that you want to focus on. And then what I'm going to go into here shortly is just some practical steps about it. But, what I really want you to keep in mind when you're running ads on Facebook, irregardless if you do it yourself or you hire somebody, you're now stepping into a 15-mile minimum radius. So this doesn't matter. I mean, talking about this is not organic native stuff you're doing for your own personal network. This is talking about when you step into the medium of Facebook advertising and Instagram targeting. There used to be a time where we could go after zip codes. There used to be a time where we can go after an audience of special interest. Hey, I want to go after all $100,000 earners who drive a Ferrari. It's no longer possible. Now it's like Housing Discriminatory Act makes it where we start on a blank slate, and we found a way actually to tap into that 15 miles in your favor. It's something we'll talk about shortly called a split test. A split test is splitting the audiences to find the most favorable one. But you always now got to imagine 15 miles no matter where you are. And so understanding something called a pin drop is going to be advantageous to you. A pin drop is thinking about the most central area of which you're willing to drive north, south, east, and west around for 15 miles. That's kind of your digital door knocking style of mindset now. Or if you're going for their buyers, if you're marketing your listings, Facebook will require 15 miles as a minimum radius. So everything you do on the ad level, as far as the image is concerned, as far as the copy is concerned, has to acknowledge that. So it's not about likes. It's not about, just like brand recognition. You need to be able to run ads effectively so you can track that into relationships. It's a cost per lead. It's, don't just spend money to spend money. And a lot of people I see do that mistakenly. They just go boosts, posts, and so forth. And, I guess it just depends on what you're looking to accomplish, but we'll talk about that. We want to help you interpret the stats, especially if you're going to give Facebook your money. Facebook Ad Manager. How many of you are familiar with using Facebook Ad Manager? We like to call it the labyrinth of frustration and confusion. Would you agree on that one? It's pretty confusing, pretty frustrating. And what we acknowledge most is that they're always making some sort of update. Okay. It sucks. It's, it's a full-time job trying to figure out what they're doing. And, recently there's this massive update pushed through Apple iOS that made it to where most people don't understand even that there's like different ways of running ads on Facebook. There's a lead ad, which captures the information up front. There's a conversion ad. There's a traffic ad. There's a paid post ad. Most people are like, what the heck does that even mean? Well, That's okay. You don't need to know that, other than I'm going to show you functionally what they do. The lead ad is probably the one most people know most. It automatically gives you their name, phone number, and email when they click on the ad itself. But what people don't know is that if you're going to be asking for a seller to give you their address, you can't do that with a lead ad. You have to do that with a conversion ad. And so anybody who's trying to ask for an address up front can't do that any longer unless they have a custom domain. So we're going to talk about that shortly. So yes, confusing. How do you actually figure this all out? And you have a couple options. You can obviously go into becoming an expert and just following every Facebook marketing tool that there is to figure out, as the changes happen, or you can hire a marketer. We like to think we're some happy medium. And I'm not going to say StreetText is the only way, guys. There's other companies out there, and I'm sure you all know it. And I'm sure Club Wealth has affiliations to many, many companies. StreetText is not really known just for being a lead gen solution as much as we are being an incredible community that comes from contribution and collaboration. And we just really have a desire and motivation to see people win. That's the fun part about the company that we're a part of, is that there's no scarcity mindset out here. There's no exclusivity, because when you're working within 15 miles on Facebook, there's plenty of fish in the sea, And it doesn't matter who's doing what in that space. It really matters about how you actually talk to those leads and create a relationship that comes from contribution. So I'm going to go into, before I go into showing you any of that, I'm going to go straight into Facebook, as if you were logging into your personal Facebook account today. And a lot of people, they access their Facebook from their phones, but they forget that one of the best things you should do is actually log into your desktop every day and acknowledge it as a CRM, customer relationship management system. So what do I mean by that? Well, there was a time, gentlemen and ladies, gentlemen, where I used to have, I think, it was all about being the guy with the most friends. And over time, I found out that no, it's not. It's actually about quality, not quantity. About quality. Just like all the relationships, if you're going to be creating influence in someone's life, you should be able to track that influence. And that's vice versa. You don't want to put people in your newsfeed that are going to be giving, negative news all the time. And so there is some functions in there that help you block them and or just unfriend them. And truth be told, I've had so many circumstances where I actually, end up purging a lot of people, and I come back into my life because the relationship begins again. So I want to just share with you something easy to start with to help you realize if these people should be your friends or not. Because if you've been doing this for a long time, you may just have added anybody who's given you a friend request. My suggestion to you is to revisit that idea and to start in the friends feature. And start in the friend feature, and also every day. So you basically would log into your Facebook from the home perspective. It's going to look like this in your feed. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on your own personal Facebook profile. Now, there's a couple things that you want to have, you have your cover photo. I think a cover photo should represent a little bit about you, not just the business part, not just I'm a realtor, everybody. No, I think people need to know the relatable part of you. And I know this is not your business page. This is your personal page. And we'll talk about how you actually connect the two, because I can't run ads from this page. I have to have this as a connection, though. This is where it all begins. So just remember, this is where your personal Facebook page is. Your business page is another story. Your business page is set up so that you can run ads with Facebook. It's a pay-to-play environment on the business side. It's not you can mix a little bit, but this is where the raw, real, relatable side of you is. So this is where people, and you'll hear it over all the time, it's the know, like, trust model. BombBomb made that very popular. BombBomb is a video email tool. So as we're talking about video being so important today's tools and messaging, Facebook is just as important for you. Let them get to know the real side of you. And I get it. Some of you are like, well, what about all the political posts I put in there? Or, what about all the da-da-da-da? I'm like, well, maybe stop with all that. Maybe you need to have a little bit healthy mix of a little bit of everything. And at the end of the day, it's your tribe that you're building anyway. So if they don't like you for what you actually stand for, then maybe that's not who you want in front of you anyways. You have to be you. This is where authentic you is, and you have to be willing to be okay with what you post here. So I'll give you that first and foremost. But as we talk about this part of it, acknowledge too, you have this ability now when you look at all your posts to actually create a pin post, so that when people go to your page for the first time, they'll see the post that you want them to see first. So if I scroll around all these, you know, maybe I want this to be the center of attention today, I click on the 3 dots there and I can pin that post. Is that new for you? Did you guys know that? A lot of people didn't know that. Some people do. What are other things I would help you acknowledge? Well, for the actual friend component of this, the first thing I would do every single day if I was going to be acknowledging my Facebook as a CRM, it would go to birthdays. So Janky's birthday is in 2 days, right? Kayla's birthday, so forth. Like I'm gonna always go to birthdays, and then I have my little fun messenger with this little dog here. And you may not know this, but when you're on Facebook Messenger from your phone, this is where you have to know the healthy combination. So I'm over here, I have my phone on this little gadget where it just allows it to stand midair. So I can do filming. There's a light behind it. But when I use this synergistically is I have my phone set up on Messenger here. I look over here to see whose birthday it is today. And when I do the messaging, I'll just go to compose on my Facebook Messenger phone, type in that person's birthday. And in this case, I'll go back to my home. There's a couple ways of doing this. So you can go from the birthday side. You can also go from events, birthdays. And today is Sylvia. She's 51 years old. So I'll take, actually, because I already have this pulled up, I have this nice fun canned message where I can send it to everybody. And sometimes I do it personally with their name in it. But you can have fun with filters. And I'll just forward this message to Sylvia. And this is how, by the way, you're going to be tracking your influence with people, because what I love most about Facebook, guys, is that they show you when they've seen it. It's a tracking mechanism for you. And it's a personal way of staying connected to every single person. So if you're going to use birthdays, you can do that. Another thing I found out someone sent me today is that there's a birthday calendar Chrome extension that will import all your Facebook messages and remind you of the birthdays. So I'll send that to you separately, but just know you have ways of helping you and assist you if you forget. Okay. But this is what I would recommend doing is every day scroll on birthday messages, click message. And then what you want to know about this part too is if you're doing it from your computer, this is one of my favorite parts, is you can click on their profile there. And then there's this little button that says friends. And then a lot of people don't know this part, which is one of my favorite parts. Edit friend list. All right. This is where it gets interesting and fun. So I have a lot of different lists. Canceled, stay in touch was the one I could put them in multiple ones. So being in a relationship-based business, imagine all your pipelines already that you have with your own CRMs. Came by referral, hot 30 days or less. I've got needs an onboarding, attend a live demo and breakout session, all those things. I got friends and buddies, paid seller trial. Should we be friends? I have one, should we be friends? It's a good one because you can acknowledge, hey, this person's not responding to me. I've sent them multiple messages. I've texted them, I've emailed them, I've called them. Why are we friends? So I put people in that bucket every once in a while to say, if I give them as much influence I possibly can, they're still ghosting me. I call it a ghost if you're not responding. Then eventually I drop them. But this is a really solid way. Now, the beauty behind this, and a lot of people don't see this because Facebook always changes, is you have to go to, again, this is why it just helps to be navigating. You have to go to friends. And then there's a little button, or it basically, you have to click on find friends now. They hide it every time. I click on find friends. And then over here on the left, when you go to friends, there's custom lists. Okay. Now, all my lists are there and I can actually go and create a list. You can't see it unless you go on the bottom. So for people that don't have lists set, that's where you go create lists. And now, for example, here's my EXP list. All my EXP agents. Isn't that cool? What's the beauty of that? Well, it's not just so I can see who's there. Think about it this way. Number one, if I want to post only to my EXP clients today, I can go into more. Oops, nope, I'm gonna go into this way. This is where you got to figure out, sometimes they change on you. Now you got, when you go to post to somebody, you've got public, that's usually people do, you've got friends accept, so you can manage people you don't want. And then if you got all your lists. So let's just say I wanted to focus on EXP today. I'm gonna create a post just to EXP people. But that won't happen until you start making your list, right? You won't start posting directly to the people that you want unless you're making a list. So as far as geofarming, as far as digital door knocking, for your own personal Facebook, this is where you need to know who all your clients are and have them in a list. You need to know who your buyers are, your past clients are, so forth. Any questions on that before I move out of this one? Because this is just a really easy functional thing to do.
I mean, I just really hope that people are taking notes here, because this is some really great information. Even I, didn't even know about this, so I'm going to use it myself. Again, just for how I have my business set up, I focus on nurses, but I don't have them specifically grouped into just nurses. So this is going to save me a ton of time and a ton of effort. So I hope people take really great notes.
And here's again, so don't overthink it. And maybe in the beginning, just like you have keep your pipeline small as you start organizing. So maybe in the beginning, what you do is, you go to your friends, go to custom lists here on the left-hand side, and just make a few lists in the beginning, like maybe separate like family and friends and, high school buddies and all that stuff versus like anybody you've ever done any business with or potential business with, or, because you're going to have, I have my dream 50 and so forth. You're going to have those lists kind of naturally come up as you start thinking about it. And sometimes you're not going to even use the post as much as if I'm going to my dream 50, these are the people that I personally think are my, I had business development with StreetTech. So I'm thinking about who are my biggest influencers? Who are the people that I know if I connect with, they have a good chance of creating a domino effect for me. And, guys like Tristan, right? And obviously Michael, and that type of network. So you're going to have that type of stuff looking for yourself. You're going to have your sellers, you're going to have your buyers, you're going to have people that said stay in touch with them, that type of thing. And sometimes just the visual cue is what you need. You need the visual cue. Like I find the problem I have with CRMs these days is like, unless you see them, it's always, for me, I'm a visual person. If I just see an email and a phone number, like it doesn't really humanize it for me. So as soon as I see them, and then I can go back to that person and say, oh, Joe, and I'm going to go to Joe, and I'm going to look at, it allows me to think about rapport building too. And I'm going to acknowledge something that I've recently seen with him. I'm going to click on message. I'm going to see what the last conversation we had. I'm going to make sure he read it. And I keep all my communication place in one place, right? Because you all know that when you're using CRMs, the only CRM that works is the one that you work. There's a million CRMs out there. What's the one that you work? Well, the one that works best for you. For me, it's always been social. So just want to give you this kind of cool concept. Social is phenomenal for you. Don't disregard the people that you already have connected with and made relationships with.
Marcus, can I make one comment to that?
Yeah.
One of the things that when we prospect, we teach as a concept called a SMART call. And so I love, however you choose to use this in your business, what I love about Marcus said is that, let's say I'm really good at using my CRM. Like we're really trained well. We train our team well how to use our CRM. We also train, is what Marcus is talking about, is that we want to humanize every phone call. And if I just go call and I'm not doing any like research on the person to try to find out any information about them, I'm making more of a blind call than a smart call. So we literally have two screens. On one screen, we'll have Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever up there. And on the other screen, we'll have our CRM. We're going there and we're looking and we're trying to find out any information. So that way we can have more of an intelligent relation-based conversation when we're prospecting. So I just wanted to make that point too. So like whatever your CRM is, you know, I love how you organize that in there, Marcus. It's really cool to see how you organize that in there. And I'm actually thinking, sorry, I just lost my headset. I'm actually thinking through ways to kind of marry those two strategies into and make it a little bit more user-friendly with our service now that I'm seeing your visual there. So,
well, you know what? I think it could work for any CRM that you're like, especially your CRM, Isaiah. What you'd want to do is just pull that social information in.
Yeah.
And then it just gives you a visual cue, and then really resonate and recognize that most people, some people for some reason or the other, they'll respond to Messenger, but they won't respond to text. So you got to always familiarize yourself with everything. And being, you know, I like to call it free 99. Free 99 is Messenger. Free 99 is text messaging. Whatever information you have to run with it. If we're going to be running, all we have is someone's email, for example, because one of our funnels grabs an address and the email and not their phone number. In some cases, then all you have is an email to go off. So what are you going to do with that email?
I got some good news. I got some good news for our Run clients, Marcus, and I'm glad you brought that up. I almost forgot about this feature. When you're in there prospecting and you go into your Run Marketing Hub, we have a system built in where it automatically brings in their social media accounts. So you don't have to go research them. You can literally just go to the lead that is in your CRM and click on the social media accounts where Ren, the technology's automatically brought in those feeds for you. So you don't have to go hunt them down. It's a small thing, but a huge time saver for anyone who's currently a Ren client that's in this challenge. Just as a reminder, and if you want help using that, just contact contact support. We'll show you how to use that feature.
And I don't think that's really a small feature. That's a huge feature.
Yeah, it is a huge feature. I mean, because think about, I mean, let's be real. Like we don't do those, take the time to do those searches because we're trying to pound out and we're trying to go rapid fire and get what we need to get in during our prospecting time block. And if we got to go searching, it can be a little bit time consuming. So Andy, it is a huge time saver. So for sure, to your point, Andy. Marcus, I didn't mean to take over. I just want to make sure our clients were aware of that. So.
No, and that makes another thing that people don't to realize when they search for somebody. Like if I'm searching for Andy, right? And you know, again, like if I typed in Andy and because we're mutually connected, it won't do this. But if I search for him, and then I went to the search results, and then I went to people. There's a bunch of Andy Kuntz out there, or Kuntz, right? I'm not even saying your name right. But the truth is, a lot of people stop here and they give up, especially when they're searching for somebody for the first time. That's why you have to actually go in deeper in the search results. That's why you have to type in the actual city and so forth. And you can usually narrow it down. You know, if I typed in, because I can see right there, like if I knew you were from Sioux Falls, now there's only one, right? Now I've narrowed it down, send you the friend request. And then I always, when I send a friend request, at the same time, I send a message. So in this case, because you can't do it from your computer. So in this case, I would go to my phone. I would type in Andy, just like on Messenger. That's what you want to make sure you're doing. And then I would pull open my phone app, and I would, you hold your mouse down or your finger down and you wave and you say hi and you acknowledge why you're sending a message. And then I click send, and you'll see here shortly, it'll drop into the Messenger. And I think that's a healthy way to introduce yourself to every single person. Because if you're doing what we're talking about here, where at least in pretext, you haven't met these people yet. So there's no rapport built. So video is going to help you immediately in the sense of building that know, like, trust model, really just to authentically connect. So that person doesn't feel like you're selling them anything, but you're there coming from value. You're there coming from contribution, which leads me kind of into the sponsored element. Because if you look at Janky or you look at anybody running an ad with Facebook, and you guys are obviously welcome to screenshot all these, they're just ads that will work anywhere and everywhere. This is an ad that says, see all available homes with the main floor master in Fremont. So a lot of people don't recognize when they run an ad and it works, but that ad can work indefinitely if you are tracking social influence. One of the things a lot of people forget to do is they just assume when you run an ad, you just let it go and do its thing. But you have to share it out personally. You should share it out into groups. You should share it out personally. You need to acknowledge that if you have 106 likes and the ad continues social relevance, and every single time you hover your mouse over those likes, it's giving you that personal like Facebook's name. So I could go to all these people, Denise, Maya, Sam, all these people one by one, and send them a message asking them if they got the information they needed with the floor master in Fremont. I can't assume that they all put in their information either. They could have just liked that ad and they just didn't want to put it at the time. Because if they click on this particular ad, here's the Facebook lead ad, automatically that person's name, that person's email and phone number is included. That's called a lead ad. That's fantastic. If I click next here, I submit, I get to view the homes with the main master. And so even here, I'm looking at this as from the consumer standpoint, she should have given me an IDX link of all the main homes with the suite instead of me having to go search for it again in her website. Because the integrity behind the ask is if I'm going to see all available homes with the main floor master in Fremont, if I give you my information, I need to see those. I don't want to actually have to go search for them again. So that's where everybody has their own way of doing things, but an IDX links would be really helpful. A pre-loaded search of all those homes as well. And then also what you can acknowledge is that if you're running systems well and someone clicks on your ad, the best thing you could do is have an automatic email that shoots off. That's called an automation, an email drip that introduces yourself and communicates. And in this case, you'd want it to talk about that list, ideally. And help them understand that you can actually refine that list for them depending on what they're looking for, amenities, price point, neighborhoods, school districts, all that good stuff. You just make them feel like, hey, this is not a preload list. I want to actually find you the perfect home. And a beautiful stat to acknowledge to you right now, a lot of people are not recognizing that we found out that more than 60% of buyers have an asset to sell at the moment. 60%. So don't acknowledge that just because you're like, I want sellers, everybody wants sellers. Don't forget that this is a perfect marriage right now.
Can I make a point to that?
Yeah.
So my inside sales team, between the team that works and prospects for our brokerage and the agents for our brokerage, and then also for our clients, we easily make 4 million, 5 million phone calls in a month. And those stats are true in almost every market. It's like, if the ISA is asking the right questions when those calls are being made, it's 50-60% across the board that they also have something to sell. So it's really a mindset it's a mindset shift for us in our industry more than it is trying to find more seller leads, because the sellers are in your database right now.
Yes.
You just have to draw them out of your database. They're
be an active listener too.
Yes, active listener. They're there on your buyer lead phone calls. They're there.
And you have to ask the right questions to create a discovery connection. Yep. A lot of people just assume too much. They just wanted this list, but you're not asking the questions. Hey, are you looking right now? Do you have an asset that you need to actually sell? Even using words instead of sell, like, are you looking to position your home on the market in today's hot market right now? It's psychology. It's psychology. But I just wanted to show you, like, whether it's see all available homes in Fremont, super easy things. Like, I always say what you want to do when you're running an ad is make it as huge as possible. So see all available homes in the Silicon Valley. Why would you do that? Because on the other side of that IDX let's just say you had a list of 10 pages of properties from, 500,000 to, millions of dollars. Well, that person would be overwhelmed when they had that list. Here you are on the other side with the automatic text message and email looking to give them the perfect list they were dreaming of. So there's smart automations. There are ways of working, but you're tapping into Facebook's algorithm model way more cleverly here by adjusting it to be something that everybody wants instead of saying, see all available homes in the 95030 area code. So there is a little bit of learning in that capacity. But I'm just giving you some ideas. It's not rocket science. All these comes down to understanding when you're running a lead ad versus when you're running a conversion ad. Really, this is like the bread and butter that we're all about, because it's digital door knocking in the sense of, who would have thought an image of a satellite image of a 15-mile range like Fremont here, plus the surrounding neighborhoods in Pleasanton and Hayward and San Mateo, San Jose. Who would have thought this image right here is the best ad over the last 6 years we've ever ran? Why? Because when someone clicks on this ad, they're being taken. I have to actually click on another one for you, so I'll give you another example. So when they click on the ad, what's your home really worth? Enter your address to receive your home value. The beauty behind this one is that it's taking them into the same experience. You're not getting a name, phone number, and email. You're going straight for an address. And you actually even asked, enter your address to receive your home value. So this is where the rubber hits the road on the difference between a lead ad and a conversion style ad. This is where Facebook made it mandatory for you to have a custom domain. So Wendy Sells Homes, the ad itself says wendysellshomes.com. The reason is you can't ask for it with a lead ad. If you're going digitally door knocking and you're asking for an address up front, to comply with their standard housing policies, you have to actually have a domain. And this is where it becomes fun, because at this juncture in the road, this is our bread and butter, because 60 to 70% of every one of these clicks gives you an address. And let me just put that in perspective. The industry of real estate with marketing is about 2.5%. It's just pretty bad. So of every click becoming submission. We brought that up to 60% because we're not asking for all the information up front. We're asking for an address.
And this is huge. This is freaking huge, because the next question is coming as well. How do I find the information? Now I got to go do reverse lookups. Okay. Now, and here's the thing. You want to get volume of leads. You want to build your database.
If
right?
all you got is an address. If all you got an address. Remember, this is a numbers game. So at the end of the day, a third of the addresses. I'm just giving you stats.
Marcus, let me make a point, please.
Go ahead.
So if you are with a Ren or you're considering working with Ren, one of the things why we like working with Marcus is because you can have all of your leads. And Campbell, write this down for me for our next training. And I want Marcus, if you can, I would love for you to come to one of our lead generation, lead follow-up trainings in the near future to dive deeper on this topic. But what we've built is we built a system where when Marcus's leads hit Ren has an automatic reverse lookup tool that will go out to 4 different databases and find additional information. All right. And Marcus, I don't want to throw you off. I just got to make sure my clients know what they have available to them, because we have a lot going on with our service. So go ahead, sir. So.
Oh no, I was just going to say, the reason why we run the conversion ad in this pixel, it's so for the last few years, we've found that the conversion ad has been the fastest way to tap into sellers. We have found that the congruency between the satellite image into the landing page, and it doesn't have to be a satellite image, by the way. You could run, there's a lot of different ways. Like I'll explain as you go on. Like right now, this is a pretty cool one that our gal Wendy is running in Las Vegas, showing the trend of homes like in the medium sales price over the last little bit here. So the cool thing is you can do whatever image you want. At the end of the day, you got to test it. But we find that 1 in 3 of the people that submit an address will give an email. And that's, instead of asking for the name or the phone number up front, the reason why I love this is because they have to give you permission to be contacted. This email permission automatically begins the automation that, in Wendy's case, shoots off and introduces herself. And it's less about like, you know, tell me all your updates and renovations, and more about personal connection. You know, even in this case, Wendy talks about meeting on Facebook. She does that strategically. And then it becomes fun, guys. And then you got to understand it doesn't even have to be rocket science in the sense of, okay, well, what would I give them? Do I give them a CMA? Do I give them a home value like they requested? Well, you could. I have a gentleman who I just found out that doesn't even use video. He doesn't even use any of those like cool integrations like HomeBot and so forth. He just says, subject line, 123 Main Street valuation. And that's his own personal email go. And he goes, hey, Marcus, thanks for checking out my Facebook valuation ad. And this is if all he has is an address, an email. I put together a list of recent sales in the area to give you some ballpark ideas on pricing. Take a look at the link below. And he just basically went into his MLS, did a half-mile radius of comparables and recent market sales. Really easy for you to do. If you have any interest in positioning your home in the market this year, I'd be happy to stop by in person and give you an accurate valuation. Pricing can be very subjective, especially in this market. Let me know if you have any availability this week. Thanks again for looking at my ad, and I look forward to hearing from you. Pretty awesome, right? The guy has done over 12 deals from StreetText over a year of doing just this. And he started at just a $9 a day ad on Facebook. So it just shows you don't have to like overcomplicate it. But of course, when you start adding in the element of video, and then you start having this idea of an automatic text sending out at the same time. In this case, what does an owner want to tell you about their home? So they're going to, in this case, they're saying, oh, I have a 400 square foot home or a 400 square foot gym. It's a 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. And this guy's, you know, he's a general contractor. So he wants to tell you all about what he's done to his home. And so all of a sudden he's texting you all the pictures about the updates, the renovations, because he wants to know the true market value. He knows that if he's wanting a home value, you know, in this case, you can't just put it in an algorithm. And so all I can tell you guys is that this is the day and age of the digital door knocker. Facebook ads and Instagram I feel it's never been easy. We have been in a relationship with them in the last 6 years. We have a preferred marketing designation, which only gets when you spend millions of dollars with them. So we know how to tap into it, but I think it's never been a lead gen problem. It's been a conversion problem because people neglect, and I'll quickly just present this and let you take it over, Isaiah, but I quickly realized in the 6th year of doing this that you can work anybody with proven ready to launch ad templates, but at the end of the day, they forget that you have the ad, the landing pages, your automations are very important to be customized and personalized with your personality so that there's no room for interpretation. They don't feel it's a bot. They don't feel like you bait and switch them. Oh, I thought I was getting an instant market value when I clicked on this, and here you are asking me for updates or renovations. Don't be that person. Use video to connect, be authentic, be genuine, and then just be all about contribution. Come alongside them, figure out what their goals are, be in it for the long run. The top of funnel is not, I'm going to get a bunch of listing appointments today. It is, I'm going to be of value. I'm going to allow them to experience me as someone who is giving back in the community, doing this for free. It's, you know, and then just value stack. And over time, you'll find that then you start aligning yourself with the right integrations. Things like HomeBot will be helpful because things like, you know, Cloud CMA, all those services, you know, Isaiah's ISAs and VAs and all that stuff, that can be helpful. But unless they're trained in the art of relationship, it doesn't matter. It has to, that always comes down to your very first impression you make, and it's got to be authentic.
Can I speak to that for a second, Marcus?
Yeah, please do.
What he is saying is probably the epidemic, what I would call an epidemic in our industry, and what we try to be very clear with when our clients come on board with us is, you can leverage technology, you can leverage automation, you can even leverage some of the follow-up, but that is only going to bring it from your B down to an A and create an opportunity, but there still has to be a relationship built with you in order for that conversion to be maximized and to experience the full potential of lead generation in your business and to truly hit your goals, the goals that you want to hit. And that's the key is we have to fall in love with building new relationships and maintaining existing relationships and figuring out how to leverage technology to do so. And get out of this mindset that technology is designed to replace us.
No.
Okay. That's where we're going so wrong in our industry. Okay. And I want you to imagine something. Most of you came through an ad that I ran or that Club Wealth ran. And I want you to imagine that you never saw a picture of us. In that process, what that experience would have been like and how much that would have hurt this relationship that we're trying to develop with you guys right now. If we ran ads without any images or pictures of ourselves, or if you never saw a video, right? Or anything like that, where we didn't personalize any of our content, what that experience would be like for you. Can anyone relate to what I'm talking about? Right? Like imagine if we just didn't put a picture here up on the screen here. We're just like, oh, digital challenge, right? And there's no images of anybody. That's what happens with a lot of our marketing right now to these home sellers. That's what they feel, or these buyers. They feel, to Marcus's point, they feel no personal touch, and we want to blame it on everything else but us, right? I don't want to come too hard down because let's be real about it. Our industry does a poor job training on this topic too, I think. As a whole, we need to get better as an industry to have this real talk. So a lot of it's not the age, your guys' fault, folks. We just don't have enough people in the industry right now that's willing to have this conversation that's Marcus is having with you right now.
I think as to speak on that too, what I find the hard part with Isaiah, with the high producing agents, the Club 4, Tier 4, all that stuff, they have teams, they have agents underneath them. They're growing. And, unless you're able to teach that concept of relationship first, like our tool specifically has always been built primarily for the individual, for the user that's going to be hands-on in their personal follow-up. So it can work for teams, but if you're looking like Janky, for example, has ISAs, VAs, but she teaches this entire team concept to come from relationship and contribution first and foremost before she turns on her ads. So if that is not where everyone comes on board and it has that, like, okay, how are we going to represent ourselves as a team? If this lead's coming in at any hour and the first thing they get is this, what is it going to be? And who on my team is going to take over the conversation to continue that relationship?
Yes. Can I give you an example of somebody that does this well, like that has an ISA? Yes. To your point. So like I have agents that we prospect and we set up appointments for. You know what the best converting agents do? Immediately when that appointment comes across, we send a text message. The ISA sends a text message, both of them copied in. You know what the greatest agents do? They take they do a 20-second video clip, and they send that out, and they personalize that message so they can put a face to a name before they go out in the appointment, along with a couple other small things to start developing that relationship. Because for some reason, we expect to have a high lead conversion rate when an appointment is set from an ISA or another digital marketing campaign, when we've done nothing to insert ourselves to build that relationship. So that turnover, I think, is what you're saying, is she's done a great job of making sure that relationship is integrated into her follow-up and marketing. So she's leveraging all these other things, but the relationship's still integrated. Is that kind of what you're saying?
It's exactly what I'm saying. And when you're database marketing, especially with the top of funnel, you got to align with their time frame, not with yours. And so it's not about figuring out when they're ready to sell as much as it's about coming alongside them, helping them identify what their goals are, what their greatest asset, making them feel comfortable to talk about it, and emotionally driving that conversation. Don't just ask for updates and renovations. Ask them what their favorite memories in this home are. What was the reason why they actually first bought this and purchased this home? If there was one thing they were to change, what would it be? You know, things like that. Like, what do you love most about your home? What would you consider the most attractive feature? Those are the questions that really get a homeowner to start talking about those memories. It's not about just the surface level stuff. Like, you know, and especially if you're going to have someone click on an ad, enter their address to receive their home value and think they're getting something instantly, you better have a first authentic connection that disrupts that narrative on the other side. So that makes them feel like their best interest is in mind, because you're not giving them that instant market value. And how you present that information, even with the case with Joe, I love the thought of building intrigue with a half-mile radius of comparables and recent market sales. I want to know what my home is worth. I'm going to look at that and say, oh, my home's kind of like this one. Now, naturally, the conversation could relate to a more in-depth, customized presentation. And when you have video, you can do screen recording, and you can really emphasize the need to connect in person and offer alternatives that are not just coming over to their home, but maybe even doing a Zoom presentation where the actual homeowner can show you around.
That's great. That's really awesome. Let's give Mark a huge round of applause, folks, and a thank you. Let's drop your number one takeaway that you got from Marcus in here, and give Marcus some feedback. What was your biggest takeaway from this conversation here today? So make sure that we're walking away, and we're going to immediately implement some things through the chat. If you guys could go in there and do that now, I greatly appreciate that. And Marcus, on the 26th, I'm revamping my daily training, my marketing and sales training, and I would love to have you on there. We're starting back up on the 26th. So if you don't, and that's at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time. So if there's any day that week where you want to talk about lead follow-up, like lead generation, lead follow-up. So we talk about, on Mondays, we talk about lead generation, and on Tuesday, we talk about lead follow-up.
Love to.
Either one of those would fit perfectly. So maybe, Sam, if you could reach out to Marcus and try to figure out, and if it's not this upcoming week, maybe soon. So.
And let me just say, like, one of the cool things, if you ever want to try StreetText, there is a link. I know they dropped it in there. We offer a free trial. Now, the only thing that you obviously cost you money with on that is specifically the ads that you're spending. But we don't like to put the cart before the horse, per se. It's like, if you're going to be running lead generation with Facebook, acknowledge that you need to spend some time on your process, align yourself with the right CRM, the right automations, the right integrations, put all your systems together so that when the ads start going live, you're fully aware of what that presentation. And I'll leave you with this: lead with empathy. When you're giving even an autoresponder, it always is, the video should be including empathy, followed by value, and then an ask. So the example would be, hey, thank you so much. This is Marcus from StreetText. Thank you for clicking my ad. I can only imagine you thought this was an instant market value. That's called empathy. But what I'm going to do for you is, that's the value you're about to provide. And then the ask. The ask is any information that would be helpful in giving them that value.
That's awesome.
So that's a simple formula.
I love it. That is strong. That is strong. So take advantage of that free trial if you are not with StreetText already. They're incredible. We're working on an integration. We have an integration with them already. We have a ton of clients that use StreetText. I kind of liked what you said there, Marcus, at the end, where you got to get your marketing automation and your database marketing really set up and to nurture these relationships and build these relationships over the long haul. And if you don't feel like you do a good job with that, that's what we specialize in. That's our core. So you can go to 10xmylistings.com and you can set up a free demo to check out and see if we can help you in that area. Marcus, thank you so much. We're going to transition to our next speaker. This was freaking awesome.
Thanks for having me, Isaiah.
And I'm looking forward to talking to you soon and doing some more training with you in the near future.
Awesome. And thanks, Club Wealth. Appreciate you guys. Cheers.
Yes. Yep. Thank you, Club Wealth. And